Yeah, it's great to see everybody here today. We're entering our last weekend of play here in the NCHC before the Christmas break, and coming off a good weekend in Miami where we picked up a couple of wins, and we're looking forward to finishing strong here before the Christmas break.
How important is a strong finish here?
Very important. Obviously through a lot of different things going through the first half of the season, and having some successes most recently this past weekend. I think just keeping momentum going our way here, and we're playing back at the Ralph Engelstad Arena again. So I think it's going to be huge. And I think the start of the series is going to be ultra important.
What are your biggest keys in order to get 2 wins against St. Cloud, do you think?
Well, I think everybody pulling the rope like we did last weekend in Miami. When you look at kind of the offensive production, from the Littler line on Friday night and even Saturday, they gave us momentum as well. I think everybody kind of just doing their thing and playing their role, and playing a good defensive game as well. They've got some really good offensive players here, and we got to make sure that we take care of our end, but at the same time too try to create offense against a very good team.
You talked about your fourth line success on Saturday night. What is it about your freshmen specifically that made them take that extra step?
Well, first of all, I don't know if they're our fourth line. I think they're a really good line. I think we've got a lot of depth. But I just think that, those three freshmen together, they're playing off each other. They're playing the right way. And, we've got a lot of freshmen in our lineup and sophomores too. But, the byproduct of where we're at right now with guys out of the lineup is they get experience, and they're maximizing their time with that. And it's only going to benefit them in the second half of the season here. So, again, we got to be mindful that these are our last two games. We want to end on a positive note, and we want to make sure that we bring our best this weekend.
What can you say about the dominance of both North Dakota and St. Cloud when it comes to Penrose Cups over the last few years?
Well, we want it. Obviously we have a list of goals that we want to attain each and every year, and we've won it for the last 5 years, and that's a tough thing to do in college hockey and the NCHC to do that. So at the end of the day, that is one of our preliminary goals, and we put ourselves in a situation here where we got to keep climbing, and we play 2 less games than some teams in the NCHC right now too. So these are games that if you can win, you can climb in the standings before the second half of the season starts.
Are there any players that you're hoping to get back for the weekend that
Caleb
might have missed?
McDonald will be in the lineup. He will absolutely be in the lineup.
What can you say about the potential of this team when more guys are starting to come back in?
Yeah, I think, at the end of the day, the experience will start coming back into our lineup. I think, the guys, what I love about our group right now is there are some guys that aren't wearing a letter, that are older players that are in leadership roles right now. Guys like Ben Strinden and Abram Weeb and some of these guys that are taking the leadership role to another level here. Well, some guys are out, and I think that's going to serve us well in the second half.
You guys have a top 5 power play in the country. They have a top 5 penalty kill. How special teams are always important, but how crucial are they for this series?
Well, they are. They're very crucial. Obviously our power play has done a really good job in the first half of giving us momentum and scoring goals consistently. And, their penalty kill is running at about 90% right now. And that's been a big factor for them as far as when they've won games. So, yeah, it's one of those things that you don't know how many power plays you're going to get in a game. Recently, we haven't gotten a lot of opportunities, maybe a couple power plays per game, but you have to make sure that you get after it right away. You can't waste a power play because at the end of the day, first of all, you don't know how many you're going to get. But at the very least, you want to score a goal. But if you don't, at the very least, you have to gain momentum. And I think being sharp on a power play will do that. It'll just feed over into the rest of the part of your game.
Hey, Brad, Luke Gamble from KFYR in Bismarck. A couple of the guys talked about, trying to put together a full 60 minutes, but they emphasized how important the first 10 minutes are going to be in these games this weekend. Is that just something that you've been harping on that you feel like is most important to get out to a hot start?
For sure, absolutely. And first of all, thanks for coming all the way from Bismarck today. Yeah, absolutely. I think the biggest thing is, I looked at our analytics on scoring goals in the first period. I think we're doing a pretty good job of, creating offense and scoring in the first period, which means we're jumping out to leads for the most part, and it's very critical. We always talk about, setting the tone the first 5 minutes of the game, owning that, and then carrying momentum from there. But I just think it's, if you're able to and fortunate enough to score the first goal or two, it sets up, the rest of the game instead of going behind and chasing games and changing your the way you play a little bit as far as playing desperation. So having the urgency and the attack mode mentality early on to try to try to take the lead is a big deal. And again, it starts with the first 5 and 10 minutes.
Looking ahead to the rest of your schedule, you have such a long break in between this weekend and then your next game after that. How are you planning to attack that break?
Well, yeah, it depends how you look at it. You know, when the hockey season's a long season, right? And I think we're close to 7 months. And, you know, when we look at it, we don't think it's a long break. But at the end of the day, after this weekend, our guys are going to be in final exams next week, right? They'll go through 3 or 4 days of final exams. They'll go home. They'll take about 7 to 8, 9 days at the most. They'll be back here right after Christmas, and then we're going to be preparing, for the second half of the season, playing University of Manitoba in the exhibition game, and then going down to ASU and playing starting the NCHC schedule again. So, you know, when you look at it, I don't think it's that long, and I think it comes at a good time where I think it'll fully heal our group here to try to get the majority of our guys back in the second half. And again, our guys will stay sharp. You know, they'll have workouts, they'll have ice time, they'll have different things that'll keep them sharp over the break.
Are there certain areas that you're planning on focusing on during the break when you guys have those practices?
Well, I think rest and recovery is going to be a big thing, you know, especially guys like, you know, when we've had the lineup we've had, there's some guys that are getting taxed a little bit, you know, with minutes and, you know, maybe lingering bumps and bruises. I think rest and recovery is going to be a big thing. And then the other thing is a chance to get stronger too. I think having some off-ice workouts where normally during a season here towards the latter part of the first half, you know, you get ground down a little bit and your off-ice workouts have to be at a minimum. Now I think guys, when 9-10 day break, they can get after it in the weight room here and also rest and recover and have proper time to come back and be ready to go.
Coach, some of these games this season we've seen, you know, the other team, you know, rally off, you know, 2 or 3 goals in a period. You know, how do you know, what do you guys say to the team to you know, kind of stop that momentum building up?
Yeah, next shift mentality. I think that's one where, you know, at the end of the day, you know, you score a goal, you want to get the next one. You give up a goal, you got to make sure you don't give up the second one. And I think, you know, turning the page and, you know, having a situation where you want to cut the momentum off from the other team, and how do you get that back is kind of just playing a North game, a simple game, and putting them on their heels instead of just, you know, having a sit back mentality of how is this going to go. And I think our guys had, over the last 2 or 3 weeks, had a really good response to a lot of different things. Again, when you score a goal, what's our response? When you give up a goal, what's our response? And I think, you know, especially when we came back from Miami, that was a big deal, you know, giving up a couple goals on Saturday and what our response was. So having that resiliency, that mental toughness and grit.
All right, then final question I have for you is, you know, what are you seeing in film, you know, as you guys prepare for St. Cloud State?
Yeah, they're a fast team. You know, they have guys that can execute, guys that can make plays. You know, they don't give you a lot of time and space sometimes, but, you know, at the end of the day, I think it's 2 teams that are going to get up and down the ice, and a situation where, you know, goaltending is going to be a big thing. You know, we just talked about the specialty teams being a part of it, goaltending and you know, defending your net inside the dots are a big deal. But for us, it's about having 4 lines and 6-7 defensemen contributing on a consistent basis, and not just one line or 2 lines. It's everybody contributing at a high level throughout the weekend.